for those of you who don't know Monica, she is the founder of Make Create Design, a web design and online marketing company. Make Create was founded in 2005. It was, and the thing that's unique about Make Create is while a lot of online marketing companies actually started out in more traditional marketing, like newspaper ads, print work, other ads like that, we started cutting our teeth building websites. And we've been doing this for 15 years. So we have really honed in on our skill, and which is why we have this tried and true process for building websites and online marketing that we have today. Around 2012, 2013, the Community Foundation, the Central Missouri Community Foundation, approached Monica with an exciting new venture, asking to partner with them to hold a month-long online giving campaign in December called Como Gives. And the cool thing is we've been working with them now for, I want to say, around 7 years. And last year, we raised over $950,000 on this online giving campaign. And that helped around 138 local nonprofits here in Columbia. And so it was working with these amazing organizations through Como Gives that we realized that we can give back in a much larger scale by taking the knowledge that we have gained through our 15 years of being around and through working with these organizations in Como Gives and sharing them with nonprofits across the United States. And so it was this realization that sparked the idea to create the Nonprofit Marketing Management Fundamentals course and this event today. So to say that we're excited about this is such an understatement because it's something that Monica has been visioning up for so long, and we've learned a lot through this process, and we're just really excited to share it with you guys. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Monica Pitts, the visionary and owner of Make Create Design, a mother to both humans and her fur pups, a yogiist, aerialist, runner, crafter, and your host. It's all you, Monica.
Erika. So Erika has a hidden talent for being able to hang out in front of the camera that we did not know until we made like these really cool Take Live videos. And the second that I saw her on screen, I was like, Erika, you are the absolute cutest human being I have ever seen on camera. And so I had to let you guys meet her today because she's just so cute and awesome.
Well, I had fun.
You did awesome. I love it. And just so you know, Erika did promise to play the ukulele in a few weeks at our Make Create online, not online, but our like lake outing. We're going to go swim in the lake together, socially distanced on our floaties.
So, yeah, I did, as long as Monica sings.
Yeah. Hey, Katie will be my backup, so it'll be awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. Well, I just wanted to say hi. Hi, Tammy and Marjorie, Janice, Bonnie, Becky, Elizabeth, Marshall, Betsy, Mike, Heather, Les, Laura, Kieran, Kelsey, Carmen, Joe, Harriet, and Eugene. Man, you guys, you're so awesome. And I am so excited. We've spent months getting ready for today and getting all this stuff ready for you guys. So I'm very excited to share it. I know that there are so many places that you could be right now. And I am just deeply honored that you chose to spend this next hour and few minutes with us and our nonprofit event marketing and production experts. So thank you very much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. So the very first tip that I am going to share with you guys today is that, and hold on just 1 second, because I needed to refresh my screen. Hey, will you not share my slides for a sec? Because I need to refresh the screen. I updated this from my desk. Hey, I'm telling you, now you're watching like event in action, right? And I changed a few notes and I wanted to make sure that I absolutely got them to you. So there we go. Now I'm refreshed and now I will share. No. Present. So the very first thing, the very first tip that I'm going to share with you guys is actually one that I learned from Miss Enola White while I was interviewing her. And she said that I need to make sure that I tell people about what our total offerings are. So like if you're doing a silent auction or if you're doing a raffle during your online event, don't forget to tell people about it, because she said that they forgot and then they had to backtrack with it, and it was a real bummer. So today, I have to remind anybody who hasn't signed up for it already to hop on over to youmaycreate.com. Right now, we are in the live Q&A session and the tips for marketing your online event. There are so many awesome pieces of information for you guys out there in these on-demand videos. You can listen to them, you can watch them, and there's cliff notes for you. Yes, so head on over there, check it all out, and youmaycreate.com, that's your destination to get there. And that is the end of my sales pitch as we are trying to get the slides to behave. Yes, okay, behaving, yes, I swear. The other thing that we learned a lot from these event planning experts, which I thank goodness that I got to watch all these videos before we got started, was testing. And so this is like our third run through, but of course, you got to have something that doesn't work, right? All right. Okay. So for these tips that I'm going to share with you guys today, I am going to share how I make decisions about what to do in a marketing plan. And I'm going to give you lots and lots of ideas to run with. And I'm going to group them by type. Now I'm going to go through them pretty efficiently because I only have a certain number of minutes with you today. So I want you guys to tell me about what ideas you want to learn more about in the comments. And then I can make podcasts or blog posts or videos for you to learn more about those types of marketing tips. And I'm also going to help you understand what you can expect from your certain activities that you're doing by sharing data from our Como Gives campaign. It wouldn't be exactly the same as your data, but it at least gives you a place to start knowing what can work and what can't. All right, so to start, I need to define, as a marketer, in my opinion, what a good event does. So first, it makes relationships. Second is it maintains relationships. And third, it builds assets. Now, your event marketing is going to do the same three things for you. It's going to make relationships, maintain relationships, and build assets for your organization. So now that I've used the word assets like 4 times, you're probably like, what is she talking about? So assets are anything that you can use to connect with people and serve your mission. Obviously, money is an asset that you can use to promote your organization, but it's also the thing that you need to do and serve your mission, right? To do good work. And so assets come in all shapes and sizes. It could be new followers on social media. It could be more emails on your email list. It could be more volunteers. So a good event actually helps you build those things as well. Now, when I plan any type of marketing, I use this exact equation. Strengths plus assets equal your plan. So a lot of people like to just think that their plan has to be all wrapped around how much money they have to promote an event. And I don't believe that at all. Your strengths are the things that you're good at. So if you're a great public speaker, if you're a singer or a ukulele player, or maybe you're an amazing writer, those are things that you're going to lean into as you plan your marketing, because you don't want to do things that you hate or that you're not good at to promote your organization, right? And then you pair those with your assets and you leverage those assets to get the word out. That is how I formulate all plans for myself and for my clients. Now, I know that because you're running an online event, you feel like you have to do all of your marketing online. And I'm here to tell you that we start where we are with our assets, right? I mean, you can't magic them up. And so you can build assets as you market your event. So let's say, for example, that all you have is a bunch of phone numbers. And you're going to make a lot of phone calls for this event because you're going to reach out and you're going to contact all of your major donors by phone. And while you're having those phone conversations, you can leverage that phone number, that conversation, to build another asset, which is either inviting them maybe to follow you on Facebook, or you could ask them for their email address. You could ask them to, do a number of things, right? Any type of asset that you're trying to build. Now, you don't want to ask them to do too many things. I think just starting with that email address would be a perfect place to start. But so you're going to leverage those assets to plan your event and market your event. Now, when I am planning activities to market any organization or any event, I always try to balance passive activities and active activities. So for example, I only have a few hundred nonprofits on an email list that I can contact. So I knew I couldn't help as many people as I needed to help get their online fundraising moving if I just used my email list as my only form of active outreach to ask people to come to my event. Now, I knew that if I used Facebook Live or if I paid for some Facebook ads, I could meet more people. So I added those two things into my active campaign planning for my online event. And you can do the same thing. We need to balance these active and passive things, because active is when we reach out and we invite people. If you just held a birthday party and you didn't invite anybody, nobody would show up, right? So you're passive, that's like that birthday party, you're having it, your house would be a passive form of marketing for your birthday party. So your website, where that sign up form is, your content marketing, so your blog or your past social media posts, your podcast, all of those things, those are passive mediums. And we want to use those as well, because we're going to use our active stuff to drive people over to convert on our passive mediums. Okay, so like I said, you're going to start where you are with your assets. There's it just is what it is, right? And you can focus on building more. To fill the seats of your event, you're going to use active and passive strategies like the ones on those little bubbles, right? You're going to have peer promotion, physical promotion, email promotion, social promotion, website promotion, and you also have boots on the ground. So some of these things you're going to do for yourself, and then others you're going to ask people to do for you. And I'm going to dig into these ideas now. And I want to caution you, do not use them all, because that would be completely overwhelming. Instead, think about the things that you have the assets to support and lean into those ideas. Start simple. Maybe try one or two new things with every event and every marketing push that you do. And you're going to start small and develop your processes to get those really going smoothly as you go along, so you can keep adding more things into the future. Don't do it all at once. It's a terrible plan. Now, to help you through planning your online event, I thought of every tech question, and Stacy helped me, that we thought that you might have, considering like your website or picking the application that you might use to have people sign up for your event or run your event. And I answered most of those that I could think of in my podcast and on my blog, and that's all free for you. We also created a few downloadable resources for free. So if you hop on over to mayecreate.com, you can find some answers to those questions as well. And if you have more questions that you want answers to, once again, tell me about them in the comments, so that way I can make that content for you to find answers to your questions. Okay, so as you're figuring out what you're going to do to market your event, it helps to look at what worked in the past. And sometimes it's hard to narrow down. Really, all of your ideas, all of your activities, they kind of result in people finding you and making that decision to donate, right? So there's this big bucket of people that's hard to kind of segment out. So first off, you're going to need to have some type of tracking installed on your sign up page. And the type of traffic that I consider like my biggest bucket of great converting traffic, especially on Como Gives, which is, you can see the stat right there, it's 15.7%, second highest converting traffic to the website, is the direct traffic. Those are people who typed in your domain name and they found your site. It doesn't mean that they typed in that exact page and found your site. It means that they typed in your domain name and found your site, and then they got over to that page and they converted. And so direct is people that you know. They're coming back to you. They could be your relatives or your BFFs, your best donors. And this is like a great example of good marketing that you've done for years. Your name is out there. People know about you. It's a culmination of all the things you've done to market your organization over the years and to market this event. That's your direct traffic. Now, on Como Gives, 15.7% is actually, I feel like, a little bit low. The reason that it's low is because we have all of our participating organizations also log in to view all the real-time donor data as it comes through. So it lowers our conversion rate a little bit, because every organization, when they come out there, is, they're not necessarily donating to themselves. Okay, so one part of Como Gives that we're building out, and we've been building out for a few years right now, is our peer-to-peer campaigns. And these are people that market for you. Remember, I said that you're not going to do all of this marketing yourself. And the people who did give to you through a peer-to-peer campaign, they gave to you because they love someone that loves you. Because you don't have to do all this marketing on your own. As a matter of fact, don't do it all on your own. You want to ask your board, ask your staff, ask anyone that you know that wants to support you to help you with spreading your word. That's like the beauty of a gala or a golf tournament or a trivia night, is that there is a supporter of yours that's filling a table with people you haven't met before. Maybe you have met them, but let's say that you haven't met them before. And so there's that promotional, that peer promotional aspect of it. And so you can use that same strategy to promote your event. So your businesses right now, and I've been hearing this from you guys, your sponsors who usually do so much for you, if they're hurting, what they can do is help you get more donations by helping you promote yourselves, promote your event. So ask them to help. Ask them to share a post, send an email, put an ad on their website, put an ad in their email footer. They could deliver flyers at their business. They could put them into go bags for you. They could put it on a bulletin board. They could put it on a table tent, in the bathroom. I think the bathroom advertising is seriously underused because you have a very captive audience when they're in that stall, right? They could hand out a flyer with their bill on a sandwich board, on a sidewalk. There's so many ways that these businesses can help you, and they want to help you. It just so happens that some of them are hurting too. So if you're getting pushback from your event sponsors saying, you know what, maybe not this year, then have them help you build more assets. Have them help you meet more people. And another thought too is if you're involved with clubs, like Rotary or another club, right before your event is a great time to get on their speaking cycle and talk about your organization and then mention your event as well. So that way you can meet more people that way. Okay, so physical promotion, right? So just because your event is digital, that does not mean that all of your promotion needs to be. I know I've already said that a couple times, but it's so true. So one example that I have of physical promotion is last year at the end of Como Gives, I was nervous. I was like, man, I don't know. Are we going to reach our goal? And I thought, what is another way that I can promote this setup? And so I had a bunch of giving guides. And I had 2 kids that were out of school, and I had a husband that works at Veterans United and has thousands of people sitting at their desk every day. So I loaded up my car with giving guides. I took my kids out to Veterans United, and I said, you make eye contact and you hand these to every single person in this building. And they did. And it was amazing how well received my small children giving away giving guides was, right? And that's just an example of physical promotion. As I said, Como Gives is an all online campaign, but not everybody at Veterans United knew about it. So my thought process was, hey, cute kids, giving guides, winning, right? So the challenge with physical promotion is that you're going to measure the effectiveness of this type of marketing in your direct or organic traffic to your landing page or to your website during this time frame, because it's much harder to track, just like all traditional marketing is. Okay, so then we have social media, right? So social media has a conversion rate of only 5.4% on our Como Gives campaign. And what that teaches me is that it's a great place for conversation. It's not as powerful of a place for conversions. That doesn't mean that we don't get a monster amount of traffic from social media. We get a lot of traffic from social media, which is excellent. It builds a ton of awareness. It's just not the place where people go to buy things when it comes to this type of ask. So social media is super important, though know that not all of your signups are going to come from there. So I'm not going to go into all the nuts and the bolts of exactly what type of posts and what to say in them, because Isabella created a guide for you with examples and templates that you can take and bake and use. And that is going to be available in Bootcamp Central after this event for you to download and use. Katie and I were like jazzing it up yesterday, and I'm really proud of it. It turned out super nice, and I know you're going to learn a lot from it and get some great ideas. So head on over there and download that for sure. Places that you might not think about to promote yourself on social media are updating all your cover images. like put the information about your event, give it, its name, and put the logo for your event or maybe a picture or two up there. You can change your cover images on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, any place that you have traffic. Now have your employees, if they're willing to, change their cover images, your board for sure, any willing volunteers. And then for the people who are looking for like a little more advanced type of social media promotion, you can do social retargeting, where you follow people around, kind of like Amazon does with you when you look at a product and you don't buy it. And then you can also make a social image, a profile image frame, those little circle frames that they have around profile images. So you can make one of those and share it. It does take about a week though to turn around. So, you're going to want to do it a little while before your event so that way you can start sharing it. And I think I have a question.
Bonnie would like you to define giving bags.
Divine giving bags. I don't know, Bonnie. That's a good question. Maybe I said it wrong. Giving guides. Maybe that's what it is, because Como Gives has giving guides, and what that is it's like a little magazine that talks about all the different organizations that are involved in the campaign for the year. Maybe I said it wrong. Okay, so where are you going to post on social media? You're going to post in Facebook groups, not just your own, but any Facebook group that overlaps with your target market, the people that make good volunteers, donors, and supporters. Post out there. Also on your page, in your story, in your Instagram feed, and in your Instagram story, all those things. And on the timelines of your personal page, ask your board members to share it, ask your board members to comment, ask your staff and volunteers to do the same, because all of that activity around the information shows Facebook that it's cool stuff. The thing with social media is that you get what you give in social media. So you can't just show up a month before the event and think people are going to see your posts if you haven't posted in the last 6 months. It looks at your relationship with the people who follow your page, and if they don't interact with you ever, then it's not going to show it to them. So you definitely want to make sure that you're posting to social media all the time, not just for your event. And a couple suggestions for you, if you haven't been doing it regularly, to maybe like boost interactivity before you start asking people to go sign up for your event, is go live a few times before the event, because Facebook really likes it when you go live on Facebook. It thinks that's great. And then also create a Facebook event, and you can boost either your posts or your Facebook lives or even your event. And boosting is, you click this little button next to it. It says boost post, and just a little bit of money can go a really long way. So if you're not regularly getting involvement from your Facebook followers, you can pay Facebook to get you engagement from your Facebook followers. And even just $20 can get it in front of thousands of people. So it's definitely worth the investment. And then, especially if you're on Instagram or if you're on Twitter, a hashtag for your event is totally, like, you need one. Go ahead and make one. Write that down. Okay. So now email. Email is another huge part of your event sign up. And you probably already know this. I know that it is the highest converting medium that drives traffic into my Como Gives website. So 16.4%, which is our highest conversion rate, and that is email traffic. So email is the people that you know well or sort of well, and you ask them to sign up. Now, I'm not going to go into the nuts and bolts of every single email that you're going to write. Jason created a guide with examples and templates for you. That's also going to be available in Bootcamp Central after this event to download. And it even has like sample subject lines and stuff in it for you that you can just replace all the red text with your information and, send them out. So just remember that your emails are part of the event. They have the ability to build excitement about the event, and they also have the ability to onboard your participants, right? Because it's an online event, and it's a little different than just like walking in the door. Like, they needed directions to get to the venue before, and now they might need directions on how to interact with you. They might need directions on how to pick up their swag bag, so think through the things that they might not understand about the event and start educating them through these emails. They are a huge part of the success of your event. There's other places though that you can promote via email that's not just sending emails. So in the footer, in your signature, you can put a picture underneath the signature of your email. And you would do this for yourself. You would do it for everybody that works for you, for your volunteers, for your board. Make sure everybody has it there. Make sure that you're putting it on your newsletter as well. And then 2, reach out to your supporters. Like, ask the businesses that support you. Will they put it on their newsletter? Would they potentially just send an email out to their email list that promotes your event and asks people to sign up? If they can't support you the way that they usually do and they still believe in your cause, allow them to help you build those assets. Okay, so we went over peer promotion, physical promotion, email promotion, and social promotion. And now we're going to talk a little bit about website. Now, remember that your website promotion can't stand alone because it is a passive medium, right? People aren't just going to find it. Now, I take that back a little bit because there are some of our clients that run the same events year after year after year. And if your website is set up correctly, people will remember it's the right time of year and they're going to go out and they're going to look for that event. I will not talk anymore about that though, because I could go down a whole bunny trail about that one. So to promote your event on your website, consider writing a blog post about what you did last year. Make a big link or a button on your homepage. Put a pop-up on your website. I know people find them annoying, but I'm telling you, they work. And then also you have your sign up and sales page, right? So on your sign up and sales page, you need to talk about what's in it for the people that are signing up. What are you going to do with your donations? Tell them to donate if they can't come to this. Just talking to Elizabeth the other day, she said that they already have $1,200 in donations from their virtual 5K that usually they just kind of collect a couple hundred from the event. So if they can't come or if they can't participate, make sure that you're asking them to donate. And then on the sign up form, one thing that I've totally learned from this event and from participating in other online events is that you can ask people why they're excited about the event, ask them why they love the event, ask them why they love you. What do you need to know from these folks? And then you can use that either in your marketing planning or you can use it to promote your event to build that excitement. One of the things that we just experimented with on this event was adding a chat box. And yeah, just don't forget that you can ask people for extra info on the sign up form so that you can get more information from them. Now, outside of just on your website, however, you can promote on other websites too. You can put it on community calendars. You can put it on the sites of your supporters. And I really, really feel like that initial idea, that blog post about what you did with last year's donations is a huge one because that's a thank you post and you can promote that post on social media. You can send it out via email and just really make sure that your donors know that you appreciated them. We just did a survey of our Como Gives donors. And I mean, I know that people thanked me for my donations last year. I mean, I got cards and all kinds of cool stuff from them. But some of those donors still felt like they didn't get a thank you. And I know you guys are thanking people, right? So maybe they just need to be thanked right before you ask them again. That's my strategy right now. So make sure that, you take that extra effort as you're building up to the event to really show them all the awesome things that you did with their donations from last year. All right. So now last type, right? Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground to me is kind of it's not underrated. I don't want to say that. I think that people, when they do things online, when they're marketing online, they want a skinny pill to market their event, right? They want something that just automates itself and just automatically happens. And I'm here to tell you, you guys did not show up here on accident, right? There was a lot of back and forth between us and conversations that brought you here. And it's the same thing for your events. So talk to your social media outlets about doing promotions. Look at people who clicked through on your sign up page and like from that email that you sent and that didn't sign up. And then you can send them a personal email and follow up with them and say, hey, like, what stopped you from signing up for this event? You can give them a call if you have their number because you know their name. And you can personally call and invite your bigger donors. I would definitely suggest that, especially the people who bought a table last year or made big donations. Those are important people to reach out and personally connect with. We want them to know that we remember them and that they're important to us. So use that like value of the personal connection. And I mean, I have to say that every email that I got back from somebody that I contacted personally throughout this event was just so incredibly gratifying. And I better understood what you needed from me because you responded. So thank you so much if you were one of those people who responded. So then the next thing that you're going to do, you're going to make sure that you get a list of those major donors and you're going to keep an eye on it, right? So as they sign up, you're going to give them personal thank yous. And, like I said, if they don't sign up, then definitely reach out to them. When we did at the beginning of May Create, we had recurring what we called were lunch and learns, right? And we always had a list of the people that we wanted to show up, and we would reach out, we would call them, and that is how we filled most of the seats for the event. Because if you ask them in person, you know this, you do fundraising. If you ask them in person, they are so much more likely to show up. Okay, so my little pep talk for you right now is with the first online fundraising event that you do, if this is the first one that you've done, realize that it does take time sometimes for them to catch on. But I don't want you to get discouraged because this can be a building year. You can learn from your event. You can learn what you can do better. And you can build assets that will allow you to make this event even bigger next year. Because remember, a good event doesn't just build relationships, it also builds assets. So people might not have as much to give this year, but they will be able to give again in the future, fingers crossed, right? And so we need to make friends with them now. We need to develop those relationships with them now. And so you can use your marketing to start developing those relationships, even if they don't show up, right? And then when they're at the event, if they're new, you can also use that to develop those relationships. So during the event, you can run a contest. You could do a poll. You can even just straight up ask them to do things, right? So one of the things that I think it was Adonica mentioned, or maybe it was Anne. I'm sorry, guys. I cannot remember which one of you said this, but it was really smart. They said that you need to take breaks, like natural patterns and breaks within your content. And during those patterns or breaks, you can ask them to do something, right? So you can ask them to follow your Facebook page or sign up for a text list if that is one of the things that you know that you're doing. You can even have them sign up for your email list. I probably would not ask them to do all of those things at the same time, but definitely consider taking breaks and asking them to take action for you to help you build the beginning of that relationship, which is figuring out how to talk to them, right? Okay, so to wrap it all up in a nice little bow for you, remember that a good event and a good event marketing plan do the same three things. They make relationships, they maintain relationships, and they build assets. And as you are building your plan, you're going to lean into your strengths, the things that you do really well. You're going to consider the assets that you have, and those two things together are how you will formulate your plan. You're going to start where you are with your assets, because you only have what you have right now. And you still have to fill the seats of your event. You're going to use passive and active strategies combined so that way we can meet new people and make sure we get them to sign up. You'll do things like peer promotion, physical promotion, email promotion, social promotion, website, and boots on the ground. Don't forget about those things. Okay, so I guess that's what I had for you guys about marketing your event. So we have like just maybe a few minutes, and I see our question and answer panelists right down there. Hi guys, You're like in the bottom of my screen. You can't hear them. I'm saying hi and they can't see you either. So do you guys have any questions that I need to answer right now before we funnel on over into them?
So Tammy has a question.
So when you are small and just starting, would you suggest starting an email? Tammy, when you say starting an email, do you mean building an email list? Because absolutely. And so and I'm going to make this super short, but one really easy way that you can build your email list is to create something of value for your potential list people, right? So one thing I was just talking about with the Columbia Audubon Society is they have a place in Columbia where you can go and you can take a nature walk. There are so many people walking through there right now. And I said, hey guys, why don't you create a guide to defining the birds that you see? And then give a QR code on a little poster. When people walk in, they can snap the QR code and go right over to your website, enter their email address, and then download a PDF of Birds in Missouri guide. So that way they can have a conversation on their walk and see the birds. That would build their email list rapidly, right? Because they're using an asset that they have, which is the physical location of their bird sanctuary. I don't think they call it a sanctuary, but you know what I'm saying, for their nature walks, and then putting up a little sign, which is not very expensive to make, and sending them on over to the website to download something. So that's an example of a way that you can build your email list really quickly. How effective is it to use Snapchat filters during an event? Is that considered good asset building? That is a good question, Laura. So it kind of depends on what your target market is. Snapchat is a really specific spot and stuff only stays around for a little while. Some people do a lot of Snapchat marketing, other people don't. I don't do a lot of it because it doesn't stick around like I want it to. But if you know that your target market, your donors, the people attending your event are going to be on Snapchat while they're at your event, then yeah, make a Snapchat filter. It would be fun. And then they could send it to their friends. And that could be something that you do in your pauses and programming and say, hey, everybody who's got Snapchat, pull it on out. We made you a special Snapchat filter, take a picture and send it to all your friends. And that would be a great way to meet new people that you haven't met before, especially if you're planning to talk to them via Snapchat. Okay, I think that is the time that I have for questions. Are all of our panelists down here?
Yes,
Sweet.
they are ready.
Well, let's welcome all of our panelists then. Hi, guys and gals. I probably shouldn't say guys. I'm sorry. I'm from the north. So we don't say y'all. So I always just say you guys, and that's not totally accurate, is it, people? Okay, so you can see everybody's names down in the corner of the screen, but we have Anne, Adonica, Enola, Sean, and Jamie with us today. And I have your questions for them, but first I wanted to give them each a minute to introduce themselves and let you know a little bit about them. So shall we start? We can start at the top next to me. Let's start with Anne.
Well, all right. Oh, and I got big too. This is fun technology. This is very fun. All right. I'm Anne Kedjerdine, formerly Churchill, for those who don't know my new married name. New as in 2 years. But I own AnnaBelle Events here in town. We are event and wedding planners. On a typical normal year, we plan about 20 weddings and a handful, or I say sprinkle, of corporate events. Be them galas, golf tournaments, typically with fundraising in mind, and usually one-off events. So someone's celebrating a 50-year anniversary, opening a new building, maybe a 25th year of an event and they need it revamped and refreshed. We're your go-to person for that.
Thank you. Okay, so next up is Sean. Take it away, Sean.
Okay, this is all freaking me out because I do a lot of StreamYard stuff, but I'm usually managing. I've never been an actual participant, so this is very cool. I run a company that is a new startup called Armchair Telethon, and we help nonprofits do virtual telethons. We're working in, I'm losing track, but we're in around 20 states so far. We'll be in 50 states by October, and we help nonprofits all over the country raise money, build awareness through virtual telethons, and it's just an amazing, wild ride. We're getting to work with everybody from we're doing a national telethon for the Shaken Baby Alliance. You know, I mean, my God, is there a more heartbreaking problem on the planet? We're doing a downtown business association in small town Kentucky. We're doing a refugee organization in Houston, Texas. I mean, it's just nuts. So I'm here to talk to you about anything you want to talk about, but we can talk about streaming and how all that works, and StreamYard and why that might work and why something else may not. And I'm available for any questions you have.
Thank you, Sean. That is awesome. Okay, so Jamie, tell us about Jamie. Oh, Jamie, we can't hear you yet. Nope, can't hear you yet. This is good tech challenging. Let's see. You're not muted.
Now can you hear me?
Yay!
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I obviously don't do a lot of virtual events. My background is as a fundraiser. I've been a fundraiser for 17 years, and then now work as a fundraising coach, helping small but mighty nonprofit organizations to maximize their efforts to raise more money. And then recently I started a free group called New Fundraising Pros, where we bring together people who are newer to fundraising and provide a space to support each other and gain confidence and learn some of the fundraising skills that I've learned over the past 17 years, and just all sort of help each other out and grow and learn from one another. So that's called New Fundraising Pros.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, Enola, you're next up. Tell us all about you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Enola White. I am the treasurer and fundraising chair at Columbia Entertainment Company. CEC is a local nonprofit theater. We have been around for 42 years. Normally, we do all live events. So this has been a real transition to get us from doing live theater to virtual events. And we've had quite a few successful virtual fundraisers. And we're looking at transitioning into doing some live virtual theater as well. So we're excited about the possibilities and what's coming up next for us.
Yeah, I know. I learned so much from you, Enola. It was awesome. Not that I didn't learn a lot from all of you experts, but I was like, wow, imagine taking an entertainment company all online.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's for certain.
Yes. Okay, Adonica, take it away.
Okay, well, I am Adonica Coleman, and I am the owner of A2B Events here in town, and we primarily specialize in fundraising events and corporate events and community events. I leave the weddings to people like Ann, the real professionals. So since I call these the COVID months, I spent a lot of time demoing every virtual platform that's available in the world. Could not find one that worked well for me for all the different uses that I wanted. And so I partnered up with a tech team and developed my own. So that is called Venue Live. And we have done some very successful conferences, large conferences, one for MU last week with 1,000 people on. Conferences, galas, anything that you can do live, we can somehow convert virtual. So that's me.
And Adonica is a very determined lady for these virtual events as well. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into our questions. And yeah, Adonica, I feel like since you're here and you were just in front of me, one of the questions that I had submitted to me was, do you have any suggestions to keep people involved in a 3-hour film festival? That's a long festival there.
3 hours is a really long time.
Yeah.
But we know that generally live film festivals are a day. So I think that we're going to run to the issue with any virtual event on how to keep people interested in it. Because like I said to you before, it's so much easier to click on a computer than it is walking in. So I think we want to, have a good host. Hosting is important for virtual events, people. It's not just stick anybody up there because, it's not live. Get somebody engaging, get somebody who understands your company or your organization's mission, and can relay that properly and with passion in a virtual setting. I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle, and I think it will hold your whole event together. I also believe in sprinkling in some different things throughout whatever the program is. So maybe you stop after 30 minutes and do something interactive where people can answer you in the chat, or you can pop up on the screen if you're using something like StreamYard. So I just think that changing it up is the key, especially for something that's going to last for 3 full hours. And give people breaks too. Bring in a DJ to play music through breaks. I mean, at this point, I'm just thinking of everything that works.
Thank you so much, Adonica. Okay, Anne, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So one of the things that people seem very concerned about is making sure that they can make up that extra revenue that they might not be able. So they're going to get the ticket sales, but what about the concessions and, that online auction and that kind of stuff? Do you have ideas for raising funds outside of ticket sales that might convert well online?
Yeah. So one, how can you even sell tickets? So you definitely need to consider your actual ticket and what it's going to be. One thing when it comes to ticket sales, before we even get into alternative things, is consider an actual price like you would have or a suggested donation rather than a hard price, because you never know right now how giving people are going to be. That's the biggest thing I hope people know is people are ready to support their nonprofits that they love and hold close to their heart. So consider, instead of a ticket price, having a suggested or a giving option so that they can put in maybe $100 instead of what would be $20. But a couple other ideas of things that you can add on to whatever your ticket may be. One is think of tangible items. What is something that you could actually create and send to people? Is it something that they can use right now? Is it masks? Is it something commemorative that showcases your organization as a keepsake? What is something that they can actually use that helps your brand and your logo and your nonprofit stay in the public's eye or stay in your donors and contributors' minds, something that you can actually send to them. And something that maybe you can have created from a promo person and then send directly to them. So it's a little hands off for you. Another thing is, unfortunately, a lot of local businesses are a little bit slower right now, but let's take advantage of that and start some collaborations. Who are some local businesses that you could partner with to create an added experience? So think restaurants or retail. A lot of retail places are doing private shopping. Is there a private shopping experience that a retail shop could provide and proceeds go to your nonprofit? Or is there a restaurant that you could partner and collaborate with that drives people to that restaurant who wouldn't otherwise be getting curbside takeout, and then you get a portion of those proceeds? And again, it creates that experience, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all missing, is the experience of being all together.
You are so smart, Anne. I love it. So much creativity in you guys. I love it. Okay, so Jaime, I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about this question, because I want to know too. I'm working on motivating peer-to-peer fundraisers to join my Como Gives campaign, and I'm having a hard time getting people to respond to even me. So I can imagine that it wouldn't be very easy for nonprofits either. So how do you energize and convince people to do the peer-to-peer fundraisers for you?
Yeah, so I love peer-to-peer fundraising because it has so much potential to grow your fundraising exponentially because you're reaching out to the networks of your donors, your volunteers, your board members, people like that. So how do you inspire them to actually want to take those steps for you? I think there are two relatively simple steps that you can take. First, I would engage with them on their story about why they love your organization. So talking to them about where their passion for your mission, for what it is you're doing and bringing to the world comes from, whether that's somewhere in their childhood or when they got introduced to your organization, and what is that connection that makes them already be a donor or a volunteer or however it is that they're connected to you. And you have them tell you that story because that practices for them that story that they can then use when they engage in the peer-to-peer fundraising. Then they'll be telling their friends and families and acquaintances not just how great you are at fulfilling their mission, but also sharing a little piece of themselves about why it matters to them. And then the other thing I think you need for successful peer-to-peer fundraising is making sure you're facilitating that support for these very special volunteers who are taking this step. So making sure you give them the information about why this matters, what the funds that are raised are going to do for your mission, what the impact is ultimately going to be, telling them how to find people to ask and how to frame their ask, and giving them all of those tools. And so when you're in that sort of recruiting and convincing process, being able to reassure them that you're not just going to ask them to ask people for money and then tell them to go do it and expect miracles, but you're going to give them everything they need to be successful. But remember, before you ask them, you want them to first engage with their story of why you matter. And actually, in the act of telling you that story, they're going to be talking themselves into, you know, sort of falling in love with your organization again, remembering where that first started.
Okay. That is really good storytelling advice, especially. And I love that it gets you to a spot where you're really like connecting again with the people that are donating and, you know, supporting your organization, because that's where you can make the best marketing decisions from, really, is by really understanding the people that you're motivating, right? Okay. So, Sean, you know, we're going to ask you this question. How do you find talent to perform in a virtual event? One organization is trying to do a virtual talent show. Oh, Sean, you're muted.
I'm so muted. I'm so sorry. One with, again, never been an actual participant. It's freaking me out a little bit. As I said, I'm doing these, you know, telethons all over the country, and fortunately, I now have people who are helping me. But, you know, right now, for example, we're doing a telethon in small town Kentucky. It's like, you know, the size of Ashland, and honestly, it's smaller than I wish we were doing, and we probably won't do that small a city again. But it's going to go well. And recruiting the talent, you know, it's like recruiting the talent in Ashland. How many bands are there in Ashland? How many singers? How many, you know, jugglers and clowns? And we actually have a clown performing in this thing we're getting ready to do. So finding all of those people can be very difficult and very time consuming. But there certainly are some things that I can suggest and that we've learned and created as we're doing this. You know, the first thing, of course, that we do is ask everybody. When we build events, when we build a telethon, one of the things we've learned about virtual events and planning of virtual events is that the sky is the limit when it comes to the size of your advisory board or your planning committee or whatever you call it. We call them advisory boards for ours because advisory board is a little less threatening than planning committee, right? So people more often say yes. So we build it, and we'll have 40, 50, 60. We're doing a couple in Houston that we're probably going to have 100 or more people on the advisory board, right? And if you walked into a planning committee meeting for your physical world event and there were 100 people in there getting ready to be your planning committee, most of us would walk out, right, screaming, because we know what that's like. We don't want to deal with a planning committee that is that large. It would be a nightmare. In the virtual world, that is very different. So the sky is the limit for how big you let your planning committee get for virtually planned events that are all planned over the net. So you start with them, and they'll give you lots of suggestions, right? They'll have their friends, they'll have their mother, they'll have their kid, they'll have their buddy who's turns out to be a professional musician who records in Nashville, like, that happened yesterday. So things like that are going to happen all the time, and the bigger your advisory board is, the more options you're going to have, not just for entertainers, but for every single thing that you do. So do that and make that your core, and then from there, honestly, we're doing everything that you would think about, but you're going to Google, right? You're going to Google musician Danville, Kentucky, or Ashland, Missouri, or Columbia, Missouri, or whatever. And then you're going to just start networking out and making your lists, making your spreadsheets of people. Here's somebody who said yes. Here's somebody who said no. Everybody that you ask to participate, don't just ask them to participate, also ask them for their suggestions, right? And don't say, because I'm desperate and we have to have entertainers. Say, because we're working really hard to create the highest quality entertainment that we possibly can. So do you have any people of your caliber that you would like to suggest, right? And of course, so many, not everybody, but a bunch of them will then suggest, oh, sure, this person, this person, this person. And then that's a great way to move your circle out. Another secret that we just discovered a couple of telethons ago is go to Facebook. And, most of you are not going to be doing events outside of your community, but when it is absolutely as effective there, go to Facebook and put in musician, Columbia, Missouri, right? And it's going to give you, and then go to people. There's a tab, people, organization, event page, whatever. Go to the people, and it's going to give you a list of people who put musician, and that's a great one. Guitar, singer, but musician is probably the one that gives you the broadest range. But go through all of those, right? Put in magician, put in comedian. If you're looking for entertainers, just think about what are all the kinds of entertainment that you want, and then do those searches, because then you can send them instant messages, and a percentage of them will get to you. So like this thing that we're doing in Danville, we've got of the 38 entertainers we have to have for an 8-hour event, 6 of them have come from Facebook, from people I've never met in my life and will never meet in my life. So those are some tips. Leverage Google, leverage Facebook. We've also started to learn how to, since we're doing stuff all over the country, we're starting to learn how to leverage TikTok, and we're making TikTok relationships. So whatever your favorite social media is, learn how to do the searching there. Those are some very concrete but very powerful tips.
Thank you very much, Sean. I love the idea of polling your group of people that you know, because that's how I found all of you friends to come and answer these questions for me today, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually have some they're not crazy at all questions coming in from our audience, which is awesome. But Enola, first I wanted to ask you one. So when, we were talking about doing breaks and having speakers during your event, and somebody wanted to know, in your event, did you have any speakers during your trivia night? And if you didn't, then do you think that's something that you're going to try to do in the future?
So for us, we, like I said in the video, we basically took our in-person trivia and threw it online, and it was our very, very first virtual event. So we didn't know what we didn't need to do. So we didn't have any speakers other than just our hosts, and our hosts were the ones who were giving information on how to use the platform, and the ones who were, if we had sponsors, they were talking about our sponsors and things like that. So we didn't have speakers, and in our in-person event, we typically don't use speakers other than our host. So I don't know if we would use speakers for our virtual event in the future, just because that's not something that we normally do. But I can certainly see that would be something that an organization might explore.
Yeah, I could see where it could be beneficial if you had like another type of event coming up, since you guys are promoting so many.
Yeah.
Not that I was promoting so many, but you know, you guys are a production company, so that might be a different kind of not interruption, but promotion that you could do, I guess. Okay, so I think, oh, there's Adonica. Adonica, breaks. One of our viewers wants to know, when you're doing breaks, how long do you think that they should last for? And you're muted, just so you know. We need to unmute you.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on the length of the event. If you're doing I've seen some virtual events that are right in that kind of 45-minute range. If you're going to do a break in there, it should be super short. Just enough, stand up, stretch your legs, do the hokey pokey, turn yourself around. That's it for an event that short. But anytime you get over an hour, you have got to give people a break. Nobody wants to stare at their computer screen for that long. So for the longer events, I would give people 5-minute breaks, and maybe multiple if it's longer than 1 hour. Like when we're talking about that 3-hour event, I would probably look to give people a break about every 30 minutes. I think that's long enough for people to sit. And like I said, make the breaks interactive, make them fun.
Yes, definitely watch her interview, because she has all kinds of fun ideas for different breaks and stuff. Okay, so then Anne, I have a question for you too. So for the events that people are doing, like clearly we talked about 45-minute events, we've talked about 3-hour events. You have a suggestion for length of time? Like, how long do you think the perfect virtual event lasts?
Yeah. So I think the sweet spot is a little bit shorter, like 30 to 45 minutes is what I've been recommending to clients, unless there are a lot of different components in there. And I'll echo what Adonica said, breaks. So for example, right now we're figuring out a program for a client. I won't say more than that because it'll be a surprise to everybody in a couple months, that is going to have some interactiveness, some program to watch, and then like a concert at the end. Because think of it kind of like as a TV show. And having breaks in there maybe as a commercial. It's a great spot to plug your sponsors. But that's how long of an attention span we have. So that 30 to 45 minutes, I think, is a real good sweet spot.
Enola, will you tell them what platform you used for your trivia contest?
Yeah, absolutely. So we explored several different options, and the one that we landed on was called CrowdPurr, like as in purr, as in a kitten. And it was a fantastic platform for us. Really, people were able to watch a stream, so just like we're doing today in StreamYard, and then they could play the trivia game on their phone. So it was a really good way to kind of integrate the two pieces. There was a little bit of a lag, and now knowing what we know, having gone through it, there are different ways that you can combat that. But it was a really great tool that we were able to use. And I think in the future, when we do our trivias, because virtual events allow you to expand your audience and patron base outside of just the people that can sit in my 155 seat theater in Columbia. I can reach people in Seattle and in New York City and Florida and, all over the world really with an online event. I think it'll be a good way to do a hybrid event in the future when, things are going back to whatever the new normal is.
Thank you. Okay, Jamie, on the topic of non-event fundraisers, we wanted to understand what a good window of time is. Like, how long do you run a non-event fundraiser? And do I need to have a catchy theme for it? Or can I just ask people for donations?
Yeah, good questions. So the length of time, I would generally say no more than a week. And I really like giving days. I like the shorter more momentum building burst. But the key, whatever the length of time is actually the work that you do before your event day to line up your commitments to giving to the event, to sharing the event, to being a part of it. And so whether you're talking about a one-day thing like Giving Tuesday or a 1 month thing like Como Gives, you want to be doing work in advance with your board, your volunteers, your best supporters, to line them up to be ready to go on the day of. So whatever length of time you choose, for you, it's actually going to take a lot longer than that period. But I would generally lean towards shorter. And as far as a catchy theme or just asking, I am a really big fan of just asking. I think people give because they love you and they love your mission. And the more you do to help them understand why you're special and engage with them in a very authentic way, the more they will be inspired to give. But a catchy theme, I think, makes your job a lot easier when you're trying to put together all of those assets like you were talking about with emails and posts and things like that. Gives you something to sort of land on and design around. And so I think a catchy theme is awfully helpful, especially for the folks who are doing the work behind the scenes.
Okay, so Sean, I know that you work with lots of different people, and I don't know, do you always use the same donation portal with those, or do people pick their own donation portals? And in your experience, is there a good platform for that, like that fundraiser, like the intaking of the physical money?
Sure. Most of what we do is we just direct donors to that organization's page. So we actually do not process the money for many of our for really any of our clients. We just send them directly to their page. Now, what we've started doing is we've figured out how we can launch telethons just ourselves, that we then do all over the country, and we do use a platform for that, which frankly I own, because years ago, as some of the people in this room will know, I started a ticketing company that gives 50 cents for every ticket sold to the charity of your choice, and several people in this room have used it. Every event gives, and so we do use that. In the end, I think, figure out which is the least expensive, figure out which one works most with your sensibilities, and any of them will work. But, anytime you can direct people back to your own website, like we're directing people to the nonprofit's website to give instead of having a platform that does that. Anytime you can get them to your website, do that. And then make sure your website is good, and we'll give them other, stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so my last question, and I'm not even really, this is an Adonica and Ann question, so you guys might both kind of address it. So Harriet wants to know the ROI on charging for tickets versus complimentary during an online fundraiser. Are there thoughts on this or any experience with this? I know that people are concerned that maybe they shouldn't ask for their normal ticket price because it's something different. I mean, I've heard that. And then I hear from you guys, if you're going to charge a ticket price, charge the same amount, make it normal, right? But anyway, so whichever one of you wants to start, ROI on charging for tickets versus complimentary during an online fundraiser. All right, I'll pick. Adonica, you go first.
Okay. I honestly like to consult with my clients and see what feels comfortable for them, because everybody has a different level of comfort with virtual events. It's relatively new for most people and organizations, and I've had some clients that are really leery about charging. And if they're leery about charging, then I can give them the pros of not charging. Because I'm going to expect, as somebody who attends 1 million fundraisers a year, I'm going to expect that if I'm not paying for a ticket, that I am at least going to donate the amount that I would have paid for a ticket. And then there are some people who are saying, hey, we're still spending money to put this event on, and so we'd like to charge. I do always recommend that they charge a little bit less for a virtual event, unless they know their client base really, really well. And they know that a normal ticket price will fly with them. There are some organizations that know their supporters really well, and they know, oh, they'll pay for this ticket anyway. So I can find pros and cons in both, and I just like to consult with whoever the organization and client is about what feels comfortable for them.
Yeah, and I could definitely see with the higher ticket prices, like if it's a gala or something like that, then you might need to lower it. But if it's a 5K and your ticket price is normally $40 and you have to ship stuff to them now, then maybe it's the same, right? And do you have anything you want to add on that ROI on charging for tickets versus complimentary for your online fundraisers?
Yeah, I think we definitely are not able to charge, table prices as you would for a gala. I think you need to look at what are you providing? Like, what is that experience? Is it a recording? Is it something live? Is it no kind of program at all? So what we've really been gearing towards is when you think of a gala, for example, what are the best parts of it? And so that program when they're speaking, that's what we're looking for, and how can we make that entertaining and an experience. So thinking about what's in there and what you're providing, I really have been defaulting to that donation. So say it's access to a live event or a link to a pre-recorded recording, for them to get access to that. Essentially think of it as like joining the email address. They put in a donation. That donation can be $5. It can be $5,000. And I think we'll see over time that evens out. And we also need to be mindful. We may not have the margins that we've had before, but we're also not going to have the expenses. I have heard of a local nonprofit event here that actually made more virtually in proceeds this year than they have in the past, because they didn't have all those expenses. So you just need to think about what can you do to get by this year, and then how can you do that. But before, we would look at expenses and then figure out your ticket price to cover all of that. Can't think of that as much anymore. So just being mindful of those expenses.
Okay, my wonderful expert audience. I hope that everybody learned as much from you guys today as I have. Like, you guys are so incredibly smart and just given me so much creative energy throughout this online event planning process. It's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me in this journey. So that concludes the Q&A. Just remember, everybody, if you do have access to the on-demand content, you can still ask questions. And a lot of these wonderful people who have allowed me to interview them for their knowledge have also agreed that they would answer your questions still too. So, I mean, everybody wants to help, and they're more than happy to answer your questions. Like, I can't guarantee that they're going to answer your questions, but I really think they will, because they answered my questions and they're super nice. So hop on over in and ask those questions as you're watching the videos. Okay, so next up on our agenda is our scholarship winner. So we thank you, everybody who attended. Let's pull up the slide that has there we go. Okay, so May Create, one of the reasons that we started this event is this online fundraising events boot camp is because I was talking to every nonprofit that I knew about what their challenges were right now. And I kept hearing over and over again that it was these online fundraising events and transitioning into them. And so I thought, well, all right, this is the first problem I'm going to solve. And then the other challenge that I've heard over and over again is just organizing their marketing and keeping it all managed. And so we are on a mission to support small nonprofits struggling to get the word out about their amazing cause by guiding them through an actionable step-by-step program to market their organization so they can do what matters most, which is grow their mission and make an impact on their community. And so I am very excited to welcome Laura Macker Boulderjack, I think that's how you say your name, at Room at the Inn, Como. She is our lucky winner of our nonprofit marketing fundamentals course. Yay. So Laura, I will reach out to you with details and get you the link in there so you can start with us as that course launches later on this year. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to take Enola's advice one more time, and I'm going to let you know that right now, if you have not signed up for the on-demand content, there right now, we just finished up how to market your event and also our live Q&A session. So you are in the free part of the event. And if you would love to get all these videos, and there are even more than I have shared on this screen about anything from giving value to your sponsors to how to plan a virtual golf tournament, they're all in there with these awesome experts. So you can get that for $20 and you can ask them questions. You can download the recipe card, which is the cliff notes of the video. You watch the video, or you can just listen to it, because I'm an audio lady and I always want to just listen to stuff. You're going to go out to youmaycreate.com for that. And yeah, with that, thank you so very much. I would love to hear from you in the future. With those of you who are getting the free 30-minute consultation, I can't wait to hear your stories. I can't wait to hear the challenges that you're facing. Just having the opportunity to talk to you about those challenges, I know, is going to make me so much more successful in helping other people solve those same challenges. So we're in this together. Thank you so much for joining us today.